Most of us have a favorite sport that always beckons us to participate in it. When we're passionate about something, we'll engage it in any way we can. Cycling races are something that many of us would have watched with great interest. Folks! There have already been a lot of bicycle races around the world. However, this is something about which we are rarely informed. Rather than occurring at the same spot every time, races, not only in cycling but in every sport, take place at various locations throughout the world. Friends, welcome back to Cycling News Live. How are you all doing? Let us in the comment section below. Many of you would already have guessed the topic of today's discussion. Yes, it's obvious that it's about the cycling race, but guess what place? Which one does the most famous cycling race ever happen? If you know, just tell me in the comment section. So ending the suspense, it's about the Tour of Flanders, a famous race that happened in Flanders. The Tour of Flanders, in Dutch Ronde van Vlaanderen, usually referred to as de Ronde, the Tour, is a road cycling race that takes place every year in the spring in Belgium. This is the most important cycling race that takes place in Flanders, and it is part of the UCI World Tour. Flanders Classics is in charge of organizing it. Its nickname is Vlaanderen's Mooist, Dutch for Flanders' Finest. The Tour of Flanders celebrated its centennial in 2016, having first taken place in 1913. So before moving to the video, friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel. The only time the race was ever cancelled was because of World War I. Otherwise, it has been held continuously since 1919, making this the cycling classic with the longest run of never having been skipped. Do you really the top cyclist in the race? The fact that the record for most victories is held by 6 different individuals distinguishes the Tour of Flanders from the other major classics. Each of the riders has 3 victories. They are: Flanders Achille Boos is a Belgian cyclist who won in 1940, 41, and 43. Alessandro Fioravanti won in 1949, 50, and 51. Brian McKenzie in 1970, 72, and 73. Johan Misu in 1993, 1995, and 98. The Tom Boonen in 2005, 2006, and 2012. And finally, Fabian Cancellara is a professional cyclist who won in 2010, 13, and 14. Okay, now let's go back some years back to know the history of the Tour of Flanders. Are you excited, friends? Whatever you want to call it, the Tour of Flanders, de Ronde, Tour de Flandre, Giro del Fiandre, or Vlaanderen Rundfart. The Vlaanderen's Mooist is Belgium's premier one-day race. When Sport Wereld's Leon van der Hout launched the race in 1913, the goal was to reinvigorate cycling in Belgium and give the Flemish people an event that was solely local. Karl van Wijndael is credited with organizing the first Tour of Flanders, which took place on May 25, 1913, and traversed Flanders' 2 westernmost provinces. It began in Ghent at 6 in the morning and ended in Mariakerk, which is now a suburb of Ghent. It was a 210-mile journey, all of which was completed on poor roads with only an occasional cycling path. Only half of the rewards were funded by the money raised from ticket sales at the race's conclusion, which took place on a wooden velodrome that's around a pond in Mariakerk. Paul de Man, a 25-year-old Belgian cyclist, won the sprint of a 6-man group after spending more than 12 hours in the saddle in the first event in 1913. In 1914, de Man won the Bordeaux-Paris, but the war threatened to destroy his career. As part of the Belgian spy campaign, he transported documents into the neutral Netherlands by bicycle. After a series of journeys, he was captured by the Germans and imprisoned in Leuven, where he was awaiting execution. He was made a military hero because of the armistice in 1918, which saved his life. During World War I, the Tour of Flanders was put on hold, but it was resumed uninterrupted in 1919. The Tour of Flanders quickly became a popular cycling event in war-torn Flanders, despite the horrible road conditions and gruesome vistas. Flemish track specialists dominated the competition in the 1920s. He won the race twice, the first time as one of only 17 finishers in awful weather in 1924, the second time as a 6-day expert on the American circuit. Swiss Harry Suter won the first ever cobbled race double in 1923 by winning both Paris-Roubaix and the first ever foreign winner in 1923. A group of 8 sprinters finished the race in 1926. Denis Verschuren, who was competing in his first professional race, took the win. Ghent became a magnet for cycling enthusiasts as the race's start and finish were located there, and by the end of the 1920s, the Ronde had become Flanders' premier cycling event. The Tour of Flanders was halted during World War I, but when it was resumed, its popularity skyrocketed, thanks to the long distance and treacherous roads that combined to create a punishing but ultimately rewarding test. The finish line was relocated to Meerbeek in the 1970s, and the Muur van Gerardsbergen, also known as the Kapelmuur because of the small chapel atop the mountain, became an important part of the finale. Later, the ultra-steep cobbled Koppenberg was added. In 2012, the formula was altered to make the finish in Oudenaarde more spectator-friendly, while still placing the most difficult sections on the cobbled climbs of Oude Quermont and Peterberg. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the race was postponed to October and shortened to 243 kilometers. Following an epic duel with his longtime rival, Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel of Alpecin Phoenix triumphed. The 2021 Tour of Flanders was held in April and featured a 254.3-kilometer course with a thrilling final sprint between Danish champion Kasper Asgreen and Van der Poel. Okay, so that was the history of the Tour of Flanders. Hope you would have found it interesting. Now moving forward in the video. Before moving, friends, just ensure that you have subscribed to our channel so that you can get every video of us. Okay, many of you might have been concerned about the cost being spent on the race and the prizes the winners get by winning the race. Yes or no? So no need to worry, now in the video we are going to deal with all these issues, so be patient. It cost 1,100 Belgian francs for the first race in 1913. 12,500 francs in fees and bonuses were paid out in 1935, with the winner getting 2,500 francs and the 19th place finisher getting 125 francs at a time when a newspaper cost 40 cents. In 1938, each rider who had a 30-minute lead received a bonus of 100 francs. Prizes during the war years included razor boxes, a stove, bottles of wine, and bicycles. In 1948, for the last rider to finish in Eeklo, there were 100 francs. Massage oil was provided to the final 4 riders in 1949. Friends! There is one very, very interesting thing about the Tour of Flanders, which will definitely make you a fan of it. Many women who are very good at cycling are not neglected by their race. They appreciate the participation of women in it. Isn't it really proud of us? Actually, for the first time since 2004, a women's Tour of Flanders has been held on the same day as the men's race. UCI Women's World Tour, and one of cycling's most esteemed events for female cyclists. It ran for 71 miles from Oudenaarde to Meerbeek from 2004 to 2011, with the final 55 kilometers being identical to that of the men's race. This year's race will begin and end in Oudenaarde, as it has since 2012. Only one hill, the Koppenberg, separates the women's Tour of Flanders from the men's race's 96-mile finale. 12 climbs near the Muur van Gerardsbergen, the Oude Quermont, the Peterberg, and 3 long, flat, cobbled sectors are included in the 2018 race. It is identical to the men's final 35 kilometers in terms of Kruisberg and Oude Quermont, as well as Peterberg. German Judith Arndt and Dutch rider Miriam Melchers van Poppel have both won twice. Ride Flanders is a non-professional cycling event that takes place the day before the professional race. The longest route is 140 miles long and begins in Antwerp. 3 shorter routes, each with a length of 108 miles, 87 or 46 miles, begin and end in Oudenaarde. This year's event has been capped at 16,000 in order to ensure the safety of participants on the roads. Many months prior to the event, all available tickets have already been claimed by racegoers, and the non-Belgians make up 60% of the participants. Today's Tour of Flanders is an opportunity to commemorate the region's resurgence while also reinforcing its enduring values. Because of this, Van Weendale has become known as the race's father, even though it's almost certain that Van den Hout came up with the idea for the race. People were moved by his vision in 1913, and they are still moved by it today. Other cycling races have a lot of history, but none of them defines a nation like the Tour of Flanders. Okay, that's all for the video. Shower your love if the video was good enough for you all. Comment down your views on the video and share the video with your friends, and also do subscribe. Take care. Bye.